Yo, 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 welcome back to the Further Your Lifestyle podcast, conversations on lifestyle, passions, and hustles. My name's Chris Furlong, I am your host, and I'm super thrilled to be back here again and for an exciting episode of Further Your Idea. Now, this time I have Ponnara, a return guest who's been here before, and she is a wonderful individual. She has her own business, The Kind Design Co., and she's here to chat about the idea or exploring the idea of yoga. Now, in this series, Further Your Idea, what we do is we take inputs or submissions from community members in which we then explore and brainstorm how we would further this idea and potentially monetize it. And today's episode is all about yoga. So if yoga is your jam, this might be the one for you. Otherwise, there is plenty of insight in this episode, which rolls over to many other businesses, many other ideas and passions and hobbies. So buckle up for a great conversation. Super excited on this one, and may bring some really good insights from her own experience, her own businesses, and just life in general. So however you like to listen, get comfy, get cozy. We are on YouTube, we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those great places. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Further Your Lifestyle podcast, mate. It's so good to have you back for episode number 2 for yourself. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. Can't complain anything, just very nice. Very glad to be here again. Thanks so much for inviting me again. It's been very nice to see your postcard journey and being around you. And
No, I appreciate it. And look, I mean, it's all the kudos to you because everything that you've been doing. And for those that haven't watched the first episode with May, we talked about her business, The Kind Design, and everything you're building there is, it really does reflect everything that I want to present here on the podcast. So to have you back for a second time and for something a little different this time, it's very exciting. But before we jump in today's topic, I would love to know, how's business going for you at the moment? Are things going well? Is it busy, or is it with everything that's going on in the world? Has it kind of slumped down, or has that actually worked out better for you?
it is work very well, to be honest. And I think because we are in the lockdown, I have more time to actually spend on my business, working in and on my business, and have the time and ability to actually setting up all the system that I've been testing and finalize which system that I want to use, and expand the skills. Really, like when I have the free time, I just learn the new website, new system, and new client, really. And it's been really fun. A little bit frustrated sometimes, I would say, because I just learn things along the side, and each project different as well. And it's been really great, and I'm really grateful to have this business.
Yeah, it's a bit of a balancing act, isn't it? When you're running your own business, because there's stuff that but then there's stuff that you need to know because in order to grow or further your business, and then there's the stuff that kind of comes that you didn't expect that you need to know, whether it's working with the client and they challenge you in a different way, and it's kind of one of those. It's always awkward because like you don't want to say no, or you can't do it. You think you're capable of doing it, but then you have to go on that journey to kind of discover or learn or upskill or whatever. And you are very good at that. You're always sharing about something that you've been learning or doing, which is really encouraging to see. And it's quite overwhelming of how much things we can be learning and growing. And I think sometimes it's quite normal that we kind of overwhelm ourselves because we always want to be doing better, right? But sometimes we have to realize, what's the priority, or what's the important piece now to be learning, and not just trying to take it all in.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. And I tend to want to learn everything more and more every day. And I feel like, wait a minute, May, I need to have a break. And and I think like another part of business as well, that I have everything news every day that I need to learn about it. And that's how I just love doing these things every day. And I had a coffee catch up with one of my graphic designer this morning as well, and she was like, our industry is very competitive, but at the same time we can get out so much out of it. We can learn a lot in different way, and people have a different strategy, different way to work as well. So I think I'm grateful for the time in being in lockdown, that to actually find my system that right fit for me, and I'm just ready to take on whatever it's come every day.
It's great. Such a positive mindset about it. And it is, I think it's something which, until we're in those situations, because you can't control that situation. Well, it's then doubling down on what can you control, and being more putting your mind to the things which, okay, this is where I can focus my time. I wouldn't have been able to do this if we weren't in lockdown, and leveraging those opportunities. And I think, I'm not saying that's an easy thing to do either, because mindset and mental, it can be a challenge, overwhelming, but it's definitely something which I've realized, well, for the last good year, and everything in between, of the ups and downs of in and out of lockdown. But it really pushes you to pivot and adjust and think outside of the box a bit more on how we can do it. And it's actually a really good segue for what we're here to chat about today. And for anyone that hasn't listened to the first episode of Further Your Idea, which is one of the new segments we're doing here on the podcast, this is episode number 2, and today we're jumping in on a topic around yoga. Around, someone has submitted a scenario in which they love yoga, and well, actually, I'll just read it out. So they love yoga. They've been practicing since they were in their early teens. They have a small certification and have thought about teaching. But with the current state of the situations, gyms are closed and lockdowns and things are all a bit crazy over the world. They wanted to be able to see how they could make their yoga, or their passion for yoga, into something which they could potentially make a living from. And the question is, how could they potentially make this happen? And that's what we're here to chat about today. And I know, May, you do practice yoga, and you love to. I don't know, what's the difference between a yogi and yoga? Is a yogi someone that practices yoga? Is that correct?
They are the same thing. Yogi is the person who doing yoga. We call us as a yogi.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I've been practicing yoga for a while, but I haven't done much practically lately, because I love being in the studio. I love hot yoga. Obviously, we haven't been able to go out.
Yeah.
But I've been stretching, and a lot of yoga and meditation are the same thing.
Yep.
So when people have the ideas, I guess that you might just need to think about, all right, I love doing yoga, and what do you actually enjoy doing? Do you want to be a teacher, or do you want to be a coach, or do you want to be a mentor, or do you want to be, I think they are all the same thing, but you can actually slightly focus on a particular way.
Yeah, that's actually really, really good. I never even thought of that. And sorry, but you just touched on something really, really good there, because you said they could be a teacher, a coach, or a mentor. And right there, it kind of opens up so many different opportunities, which I think maybe people don't realize. That's really good, actually. Sorry, continue. But I'm just, that's really good insight.
Yeah, it just popped up in my mind, because I guess that I've been discussing this with my mentor as well. Like, what's the difference between coach, mentor, or teacher? So I guess that in a yoga perspective, you can actually, you already have the skills, you already have experience, and you can teach someone to do like yoga movement, or you can coach someone on how to do it, or you can be mentor someone of the whole process of doing yoga. I guess exactly, that's the same thing, but in particular way. I guess that giving an example for like doing some teaching. So you teach a yoga practice, you teach from the beginning, from the theory, from the step by step, from the understanding in a deeper level as a teacher, or you can coach someone to do it without any theory. You can actually just, coaching it's just about looking in a long term and make a plan to do it. And mentoring, which is asking someone to join the same journey. So for example, I'm not sure if that in the right way, but it just popped up in my mind again to actually, for example, Clara is a yoga teacher, is a yoga mentor, and I want to be, I'm certified yoga teacher, but I just don't know how. So she could be my mentor. Yeah. We actually just the same thing, like mentoring, it's just about, we just like,
the accountability, or keeping each other honest, supporting each other. It's actually it's actually a really good perspective.
If that makes sense. So I feel like some people are just not clearly understand enough what's the difference between teaching, coaching, mentoring. but like, I've been doing a lot coaching and mentor business and marketing lately, and
Yep.
I feel like the more I do it, the more I understand the point on the topic that
Yeah.
I'm providing to people. So I guess that for that the first step, or you could be open your own studio, like if it's depend what state of
Yeah.
life
Yeah. So let's
right
dive into
now.
that for a bit, because so I mean, in this scenario, the person, they do have a certification. So obviously they've studied, and I'm not sure what level of the certification, and they're interested in teaching. But whether teaching, because teaching, obviously, when you're speaking about teaching, mentoring, and coaching, there is going to be those overlaps of a bit of everything in each of those three circles. But I think it's a very good question to ask yourself. This is for anyone, and also anyone that's relevant to yoga. But when you are getting into a space of, do you want to be the teacher that's potentially up the front instructing end-to-end theory, understanding the behind of why we do things, why do we approach it this way? And that would typically, in a yoga lens, I suspect, would be, in a yoga studio, you've got 20, 30 people in front of you, and you're taking them through the movements. It might be a 40-minute session, or you might be actually teaching them to then become a certified yogi as well. So that's that whole level. But I think, to the perspective of the scenario being, well, with the current situations, gyms and studios and all that jazz has been closed. And you can't just obviously have people come to a location, and you can't just be teaching 20, 30 people and whatnot. Like, it's a blur since that was even possible. But I think that's where the coaching and potentially the mentoring elements come in at a higher point. But not to say that you can't teach. And I think, regardless, I think, without beating around the bush, the most obvious thing would be obviously online, because you can jump online, you can do something like this. You could literally teach someone, well, multiple people via Zoom. It's going to probably be a bit hard with movements and things, but from a theory perspective, it's very simple. You can have, whether it's a presentation, or you can be instructing and showing movements, and people are learning and understanding it. However, if the intent is to have that more one-on-one teaching on coaching, well then, I think doing it virtually is still going to work a charm. And I love what you said about the mentoring. It is really about that accountability and partnering. And then the coaching is more of that. It is probably that one-on-one, and you might be paying $60 for an hour session to make that happen. So I think there's a lot to dive into there. But naturally, when I think of this, I think, okay, whether it's teaching, coaching, mentoring, online is going to be your presence. You don't really have a choice. That's as simple as it is. But it's then about, well, do you take it to an online presence of, okay, sign up and we're going to do a course, or we're going to do a membership, or we're going to do an online boot camp, or an online yoga session? Or is it more of building out a presence of, okay, my name's May, I'm going to be learning to do yoga and follow along my journey and start from zero, and have someone follow your, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I think that then brings in so much perspective. Of course, this person isn't starting from scratch. They're potentially starting, they've got a certificate, so they could kind of probably start just doing videos. But with that context, I mean, that opens up a whole new world of potential and opportunity.
I think maybe starting point, like for people that don't have much experience and confidence, I think being in not being able to go out and do practically, maybe start with shifting mindset. Because for example, if I'm a yoga teacher, I need to shift myself mindset to be a teacher. And if you want to teach someone, to shift mindset as well, because yoga is use a lot of internal energy inside. So I think that probably the point that you might starting a yoga course, but probably the first 4 or 5 session you might be trolling in all the topic with shifting mindset, learning theory about it. And maybe that a good way to start with, because we can't control what's when everything is gonna open up. And ideally it is about a structure, that how are you going to a plan about it.
Yeah.
You know, and also I've been with the application called InsightTimer. I'm not sure if you know.
Okay.
It's about meditation, yoga. It's 1,000, 10,000 people in there. Like, I would really recommend to actually sign up and start with in that platform first, to actually get the confidence and to actually gain the reputation again, a branding, like a personal branding inside there, because they already have a user in there and the application doing marketing itself. So I think that might be something to start it with, if you know you don't have much, a lot of to know, or
Sorry, is that app, sorry, just to touch on that, what was it called again? Sorry.
InsightTimer.
InsightTimer. So with that, so basically you're saying it's already an online presence, like I'm just, without having the context of it, but you can kind of sign up as an individual, and then bring your level of, I guess, education, or you can start sharing a journey, or you can help other people. So as an end user though, so they can come onto this, and it's kind of like they've got options to, like, oh, I want to learn from Bob today, and Bob teaches, he might be doing acro yoga or something, right? And they can learn from him, but then they want to go learn from May, and she's just focusing on, one single type of move or theory, for instance. Is that really what it's kind of doing?
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
exactly. I've been using for almost a year now, and I just love it. And as a user, it's free. So, and you can like subscribe you can subscribe monthly and yearly, and then you can actually enroll into the course. So all the yoga teachers in there and meditation teacher, they provide all the online course every single day. It's 10,000 courses in there.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And I guess that for someone who with less experience and shy, and I think it might be the good way to start with, and you don't have to put too much effort to do marketing and to actually presenting that much. You just focus on what you have and just uploading all the things you have, and people will find you anyway. And I think that's the first thing. And for me, as a branding and marketing perspective, if you are confident enough just to publish yourself out, just maybe probably start with Instagram account, and providing a content which benefit for the audience, or what's the benefit for your car, what's the different, people will learn from your story. People love learn from others' journey. There's a million yoga teacher out there, but
there is.
Just make it unique, like maybe adapting with the other skills that she might have. Maybe she loves more cooking stuff. Maybe she loves different type of cooking. She have a good recipe. Just adapting with that class, and make it very interesting as well. I know it's very hard to say for someone that don't have confidence and experience, or like shy a little bit. But it always way to do things differently.
Yeah, and I think, just backstepping a little bit. So yeah, using that platform, you could literally use that as a way to kind of A/B test of, what's your style, and what do you like, and what are you comfortable with, whether it's, you could try out some course material, or I don't know if it's videos or pictures or whatever, but at least what you can do is you can get feedback from an audience, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 10, 50, whoever's signing up, or I guess consuming your content. And that's a great way to be able to get feedback, like without, going all in on a certain thing. You could cut and drop a few things here and there, and, all of a sudden you start watching it, that person can realize, okay, this is what people want to see more and more of. So then you could probably then use that and take it over to, okay, that's where you're going to narrow down and focus, because that's what people want. That's where you're comfortable. And then you can start to double down. And I totally agree with you with, obviously socials, Instagram, TikTok being a huge one, which I'm still a bit behind on. But there's a lot of crossover between Instagram Reels and TikTok. But I think, when it comes to this space, is before you even jump in. So let's say they're starting fresh. Like, so the person already has authority, they're already educated, they've got a certificate, but, just jumping in, building an Instagram account, let's assume that, because you can do both pictures and video content. How does one go about actually then making some noise? Because for me, it's always that challenge of, well, they have to then build some level of authority in that community, and they also then have to make sure people are seeing their content. Like, any thoughts around that?
Yeah, that's probably more marketing perspective, I would say. And creating a Instagram page is easy, but growing your audience,
It's the
that will be
challenge.
your community,
Yeah.
is a big challenge. Especially with the, when you don't want to do things like to show it a lot.
Yeah.
But that's the main challenge. But I think just need to be out, just need to do, like, for example, if you want to be known, if you want to do this, you just need to sacrifice and commit to it.
Yeah. Is that
If you
really, like, from a consistency point you're talking about? Like, so setting a schedule, setting a routine of, like, you're going to do 30 days of posts, kind of thing, just to build that
yeah,
consistency. But I guess it's a twofold thing, because it's going to get you into the mindset of being consistent and posting, and creating content, but also it's then going to give some time for when people do start to discover you organically, or from word of mouth or whatever, that they're not just rocking up with one post. There's a few things they can start to consume, potentially share. And is that what you're saying?
yeah, so I think that probably might be, from my point of view, that
Yeah.
probably might be the second step to
Oh, okay.
actually scheduling. But the first point is to just get the feeling of the confidence, get
Yeah.
yourself out there, post first. It doesn't matter what you post, you just need to get the fear out to post it up. Be, be online and be known, like just post it. When I've been working in marketing a lot, but sometimes I get imposter syndrome and I get scared, and I
Yeah.
didn't have confidence enough to actually, oh, what do I say in these posts, blah blah blah. But I've been trying. I did try to actually, you know what, I'm gonna post up. I don't care who's gonna read. No one's gonna read it anyway. But you actually just need to feel good about yourself first. What are you? What were you doing? Just post up something. Maybe take yourself a time as well. Don't rush anything. Don't rush any process. Just give yourself a time. And go in your pace. Maybe it's just like, oh, I'm gonna do two posts, just two posts this week, and that's
Yeah.
it. And see how you feel for the next couple of weeks, until you won't probably get any followers or anything. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is just about your feeling. You don't want to force yourself to actually do consistently work and just burn out, because all the business is, I actually just post up my latest Instagram post today, that the most important things in your business is about love. And before love business, you just need to love what you do first.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to actually being online all the time. It's very daunting sometimes, but just get the feeling of the confidence first. And then if you get that feeling, you can start scaling and be consistent. That's the first, and that consistency will grow you and build your audience along the way. The more you posting, the more people know it. People will reach you out. And what I did suggest you to actually connect with InsightTimer, and people will share your profile to another Instagram or
Yeah,
another
that's true.
platform as well. So that's how to get yourself started first. I think Instagram is not about how many people following you. It's about just get outside there. Oh, you got a profile. I know it's a little bit tricky when people look at your profile and like, oh, they have a little tiny followers.
Yeah.
I know it's very unhealthy way to think about
Vanity metrics. Yeah.
this day, but I would say just start with how you're feeling to do this. Just start it first. And if the Instagram is not work with her, just change. You
Yep.
can always find a thing that matching and suit with your business and your marketing style. And especially for her as well, she doesn't want to be known, and she will be partner up or joined up with someone who are yoga instructor as well,
Yeah.
and who good in marketing, and she can change her role into like in the back end instead, but it's still in
Yeah.
business, right? So it's always have things to actually work around, and that get the business going.
Yeah, there's so much that's so important that you've just said there, because you're right. You know, a lot of the time when we ask out, you know, yoga aside, but you talk to other people about, you know, how do you start a business, and it's like, do this step, and then just be consistent and make it happen. But I think you've touched on a very good point there around, you know, building that confidence and that mindset of understanding, well, what are you even trying to achieve here, but not even going to the lengths of like, well, I want to be at a certain number or I want to have a following, but more so, well, you want to make something. We already know it's clear that they want to be able to make a, you know, living from this or create it into more than just a passion. But I think you're right, because a lot of the time it can be overwhelming of like, and I can speak this, it's like with my own, you know, Instagram and, you know, my own socials for this podcast, it's like, what do I post? What do I put out there? What do people want to consume? And there's this, I guess, this back and forth between, well, there's the stuff that I enjoy to post or create or, you know, share, versus, you know, there's the stuff that people like to consume and read and interact with. But it's like, how do I know what that is? But the only way to know that is to actually put something out, get some feelers and make some noise, and maybe you get nothing in return, but that doesn't mean it's not necessarily not working, because you're starting at zero. So there's likely a huge chance that no one's going to see it anyway. But with that momentum, if you're enjoying that content, if you're enjoying creating it, metrics aside, then that's probably really what you should focus on. Now, of course, let's say you get, and I want your thoughts on this. Let's say let's in the scenario, the person's doing 2 posts or 2 content per week, whether it's, you know, something that's a video or maybe it's a post or whatever. They're enjoying that. They're getting their own consistency. They've got their confidence. Let's say it's been 30 days. So essentially that's a month. They've done a total of 2, 4, 6. They've done about 8 posts maybe, right? At what point then do you realize, okay, so do they continue down that path, or is there something that they can measure it with to think, well, yes, I'm having fun with it, I'm enjoying this content, but obviously then have to weigh up, okay, is it actually making some noise? Is it bringing in some attraction? Is it even bringing in people that potentially could be customers? Would you have any recommendation or thoughts of how to measure that, or when to cut losses and try something different?
So you need to set your goal, really.
That's a good point.
Everything that you need to set your goal. For example, you can give yourself a time for 3 months and keep doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And at the end of 90 days, you just sit down and measuring your goal. How are you doing? Firstly, how are you feeling? How is number going? How many layers do you have?
Yep.
And how many opportunities that you have?
Yeah.
So you may or may not have, who knows? No one knows.
Yeah,
but
that's a good point.
You need to set your goal in a certain time, the first thing. And when you come back to your goal and if it doesn't work, so that's the next step, that you might need to find a different strategy to do it. So your goal is the time, and your goal will be a number as well. So how much do you want to make in the next 3 months? All right, you're starting out now.
Yeah.
I want to make 10,000 in the next 3 months. And how do I do that?
Yeah.
All right, keep posting consistency. All right, that's the first strategy. The second, you also need to have a layers of strategy as well. Like, you can't, obviously doing Instagram is full-time things, but you also need to have some sub activities doing as well. Like I said, it's just about how you feel to do that. I mean, if you set yourself a high standard, you need to actually ready for what is coming as well. It will be daunting. It will be like draining your energy to be online all the time. You actually need to prepare for it. And also, as a woman, I've been speaking with women in business a lot. It's about our energy circle as well, especially with yoga instructor. I think they will know how your energy level will look like and how can you cope it. It's a lot of it's coming up. It's not just about starting. It's about, all right, resetting goal. What is strategy behind that? What the next strategy? What my personal strategy to actually gonna help with that strategy. So I guess that it's a lot of things that you might need to actually sit down and make a plan ahead. And as long as you have a plan ahead and you put the sticking calendar into your wall, you will feel good about it to actually, I tick that day, done. And it's because because we living in the unknown situation at the moment. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow, and I think that you might need to have a backup plan as well. For example, last week the Instagram crash.
Yeah,
What do we do?
that's right. It's
Like, what do we
yeah.
do? And we just need to actually prepare for the worst scenario. Like, I mean,
That's true.
of course, you focus on Instagram, and that's for the 3 months. That's my goal. So I think that just focus on the 3 months. The first, just focus on one thing, Instagram, in 3 months, and keep posting the right content, the right keyword, the right strategy for audience. So I think people want to know and knowledge and evidence and case study and the result. So
Yeah.
I think that's provide that result as much as you can into the world, into the online, and the online algorithm will pick up
Yeah.
that number. And the more you post, the more opportunity you're giving yourself as well. Like, people will reach you out, people will reach you and give you opportunity to do something else.
Yeah.
Always.
It's a good perspective, and I love about that, putting the goal to it, or whether it's a goal or more around understanding how much time do you want to dedicate, right? And there's the different levels of that, because whether it's 30, 60, 90 days of I'm going to have the intent to do this for 30, 60, 90 days, but at the same time it's also like, well, if this person is having the intent to grow it into something that's potentially going to flourish, but they might be still working full time, and this might be a part-time thing as they build up. So I think it's very key and clear to yourself is to set up expectations around, okay, I have 2 days, or I have 1 day, or I have 8 hours, or, just the weekends that I can dedicate to this and create content. And I can do that for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Or it might be, whether it's time, whether they can put a budget to it as well. They might have $100 per month that they know they can, invest into this, because a lot of the time, no one's going to come out of, university with lots of cash ready to just launch a business and like, yeah, all that, because, they're not going to have that enough, experience, whether it's the business world or just getting into it. There needs to be some level of growth, understanding, trial and error. And most of the time we have to be paying our bills anyway. So they're probably, this person could be working at a coffee shop. They might be, working a, normal job anyway, but their passion is to bring this into something. So from what you've just said there, I totally agree. The goals has to be very, very clear, but not around, yeah, I want to be earning $100,000, but of like keeping it a bit more micro level of like, okay, I'm going to start this, going to, dedicate 30, 60, 90 days of doing this content. And at the same time, I have 2 days a week. And if I need to, I've got $100 that I can, put to whether it's, promoting posts or, reaching out or whatever it is, maybe paying for a service, or, if you're on that platform, maybe you have to pay a subscription fee or something. But I think that's a very key thing to do at start, because that way you're going to get some traction. You're going to, one, know what it's like dedicating time and not necessarily getting the results you want. And also putting money in and seeing, okay, it's an investment, working out, okay, I put the money in, you might not get everything back. And that mindset that you said, understanding that things will change. And let's say everything took off, you then need to be willing to be able to take that on even further. And it becomes quite overwhelming, because all of a sudden you're moving, very, very, very quick, which we'll get to shortly. But I think that's an excellent point. And it's probably something that we all struggle to do. I know that's something that I struggle to do, is going to that micro level of goal setting of 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, or I'm going to dedicate 1 hour or 2 hours. A lot of the time I'm like, I know I want to get this done this week. And it can be a bit blurry, because, you either cram it at the last minute, or it's you get distracted and it's not really what you should have dedicated your time to. Whereas if you actually do put a bit more of that structure around it, simple, basic things, really, you're actually probably going to be able to enable yourself to grow that stronger mindset or mental clarity, and then enable you to grow from that. This is really good. Anything else on that part you want to add before I ask the next question?
Not really, but I just thinking, like, you always have your own energy and your own style as well. You can always change things around.
That's
Even
true.
if you have your goal. But most importantly, that I always say is to actually ask yourself if you feel good about what are you doing.
Yeah.
There was a point, like from my experience, there was a point like I wasn't sure if I would love my business until I just like keep think about it, keep actually sit down and feel about what I'm doing actually, because I'm doing everything for myself, not
Yeah.
for someone else. And if that make you feel good and get up to do things every day, that's your passion. But sometimes your passion can be disappear at some
Yeah.
point. Just need to balance your time as well in that goal that you may set in the high level in
Yeah.
that.
I no, it's so good, and anxious of time, and we've been diving into this very detailed. I love it. It's really deep, and for anyone, hopefully they can take away from this and take some good insights. But the next thing I want to jump ahead and let's put some assumption here. Let's say they've been going at it for 90, even longer days, and think they're starting to get traction, right? One thing I did want to mention is, when building out, I guess, from zero and building some credibility or authority is, embedding yourself into the broader community, connecting with other people, going on to other, whether it's peers, I guess, competitors, or just that in general community space of yoga, jumping on and having the conversation on someone else's page, sharing your own little tip, or if someone posts something in the yoga space, on someone else's page, jumping over there, commenting, so people can start to see your face or hear what you're talking about. And I think that then embeds you into the community. So when you start to share something, someone else might say, oh yeah, this person shares that, and they might organically come over and share it. But let's assume we've jumped ahead, things are working well, they're 180 days into this, they've got consistency, they're starting to pick up traction. Maybe at this point they're not necessarily monetizing on anything, but they've got the traction, they're doing daily content. Let's just say they're at 1,000 followers, they're getting some really good traction, they love what they're doing. So now how do we start to bring in potentially some dollars, right? And I think naturally we can jump back to what we started with, it was around teaching, coaching, and mentoring, right? But let's say you've in your case, let's say this was you, and you've got the 1,000 following, you've got an audience that are probably willing to buy something from you. Where would you where would you suggest, or what would be the quickest, I guess, quick win or best bang for buck to probably get something out there to then see if there's even an appetite for people to start buying something? What would your first go to be?
I think these days a trend to do actually giving away, if you know about that. Like I guess that attract a prize, a giveaway prize to
Yep.
get that attraction. And I'm thinking about what are you going to offer as well. So you're going to get a massive chunk of people to attract what you are going to offer, and people
Yep.
chasing that a lot. And that's an easy and good way to actually start
Yeah.
and test your audience as well. And I guess that first thing that you might need to actually set a target audience. So yoga is a wild, industry, and you can
Yeah.
actually particular specific your target audience as well. It could be a kids yoga for kids, could be
Yep.
a yoga for women in business, or could be a yoga for athlete or for a runner.
Yeah.
So you can actually focus on one particular part and actually use those keywords to actually drive your audience in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes complete
Yeah.
sense. And
So
because there's so many avenues you can do with this, right? And naturally I think of, we see what we see already, which a lot of people doing video content, you can sign up and you can get a course and it's got, 10 modules, and you can follow this. Or people are doing YouTube videos, which it's just as simple as just follow along with me, right? And maybe it's monetized because they pay $2 a month or something like that. But then you can break it down as simple as, if someone was doing it for a runner, it could be an ebook or something that is a guide of like, these are the top 10 things you should be doing before, whatever. And it could be just a $2 ebook or little PDF guide that people can go and consume. Now, a lot of this would probably be already relevant. I mean, already provided on that platform, like what they've created, but it's the idea is then going that next step further. And, it's not just a 20-second video, but actually in-depth view, understanding of what it is. But I love your perspective on starting off with a giveaway before going in and offering an ebook or a course or something, because if people are
Yeah,
interested in it, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I want to sign up to this giveaway because they're keen on getting that, one-on-one hour session, or whether it's an
yeah,
ebook or a course. I think that's a brilliant
yeah.
idea. Um, and any ideas on what would be a great price? Let's say the giveaway, they've done a giveaway, and whatever that thing is that they're doing, they've got an audience for it. When bringing a first product to life, what about finding pricing? Like how does one even think about that? Because is it a matter of looking at what competitors are doing and then, trying to drop it, keep it the same competitively, or is it spicing it up and doing it from a membership perspective? Any thoughts on that?
It's very tricky
Yeah.
things to do with any industry, really, for the pricing. I would say pricing is about based on your value. So you need
Yeah.
to be value yourself and confident enough to be able to say, I'm good enough to provide this,
Yeah.
and just don't um just don't underestimate yourself. So pricing, first thing, you of course that you might need to do some research in the market, what people provide, what people offer. And there's a lot of very cheap yoga class, and it's very expensive as
Yeah,
well. And
that's
people
true.
pay $1,000 for yoga class, like,
Yeah.
and it's depends what's the level that you have.
Yeah.
Depend what you are offering. So like, for example, you want to do some this subscription model where, every day you pay $59. What you can offer to your audience, what you can offer to your clients, and what you can offer to your clients to make your
Yeah.
client feel good about it.
Yeah.
I would spend $60 to get more than just a yoga class, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean. So if you actually need to think about something that you already have as well, like you provide a weekly 1 hour live yoga class,
Yeah.
as well as you also have this lady joining me in that you can actually give this 45 minutes for fortnight to actually running through all energy level,
Yeah.
learn about energy, learn about power, learn about things, learn about nutrition, anything like that. So you can actually partnering up with someone else, as well as if you have something special, like I am a yoga teacher. I can teach yoga, and I also can cook Thai food.
Yeah.
I have a special recipe, and this will include in my online course.
Yeah.
And why not? I'm,
Yeah. And
you
that's very true. And putting all the different hooks and I guess value points, because what you bring is going to be unique. And it's, just hearing you chat, I'm thinking about all the possibilities here. There's like, whether you're
Mm,
going to teaching, you could literally just be focusing on helping people educate themselves for those that want to be teachers, and how, if they have to do an exam or a test or something, what would be the things to look out for. There's that complete avenue. But then there's the whole avenue that you've said, which is more of that coaching, or come along, let's do this together, and pay per month, and you'll get some live sessions as a group. There might be some Q&A sessions, ask me anything, and then there might be special guests that come along, and they get that, whether it's weekly, fortnightly, or monthly, or whatever.
yeah,
And then you do have that accountability level, which is more around if people are just wanting to progress their yoga journey, or being able to
mm,
do a certain movement in a certain way. It's more around having those you pay a fee per month, and there's weekly check-in calls, like how are you progressing, where are you struggling, have you done your your routines this week, have you. And I think all of a sudden you've got all these different tiers, these different options, and you can then make it so unique in your own way. I love how you said, behind the scenes, yeah, you can cook, you can do all this, you can bring that into it, which is
mm,
something which a competitor probably wouldn't be doing, because maybe, well, they don't know how to cook, they're not Thai, that they can't bring that together, or maybe they don't run. So I'm just using you as an example. You're a runner, so you can bring in that additional benefit and say, well, I run, I do yoga, I do this as well. Bringing that all together, I can help you achieve your running goals, or whatever, right? So
yeah. And
yeah.
that's back to the pricing. It's people pay for your value. Just don't underestimate yourself. I used to have this experience when I starting out, to be honest. Like speaking very, openly, it's very stressful. It
Yeah.
was like, you just don't know how to price this. And I just like, I want clients, but is it gonna, worth my energy? So
Yeah.
I know it at the start, it's gonna be a very uncomfortable feeling, but you just need to be with it. You just need to feel and go through that process
Yeah.
as well. And you're probably gonna charge $79 a month, like subscription based. And if you sign up for 12 months, you can get another 2 months free, and
Yeah.
that's 79 down to how much instead of
Yeah.
your 12 months. And okay, if you come for yourself and if you bring someone else, it will be cheaper.
Yeah.
It's a lot of strategy way to
Yeah.
actually gain more, and as well, like subscription. And also you might need to set your goal as well, how many clients that you want to take per month. So for example, 100 or 50 or 20. So
Yeah.
you can divide it by like 79 times 20. That will be your
Yeah.
monthly income already. And that will be exclude one-on-one coaching.
Yeah.
So that's I think that's the in the basic way to actually create that the business. And like I said earlier, it's a lot of coming in as well with the mindset and with the
Yeah.
strategy, business strategy, financial accounting.
Yeah.
It's everything. It's related to linked to each other in terms
Yeah.
of like all business stuff.
Yeah, and what I love about it is there's so much opportunity, and the pricing's it's a tough one because, well, I think once you've nailed down what your time is worth and what people are willing to pay, it's not a tough one. It's getting to that confidence level, right? And I love it because you said, yeah, you get 20 people if they're paying $50 a month. You start to get that cash flow happening quite quickly, and then you can start to leverage some of the additional or avenues of I guess alternative income streams within the same space, whether it is a PDF that is $2. So, that might just trickle through, or there is a course which is just for beginners, and it's a one-off fee and they get the course unlimited. And having something like that sit around that's, $20 or $19, you'll get the odd sale here and there. But if you're getting people signing up for a membership, you're going to have that influx of people coming, you'll have 10 one month, you might have 21 the next, you might, whatever it is, unless it's a commitment membership. But it's not my advice. And what I'm trying to say is, maybe once you start to get that confidence, you've built out a few different revenue options, is make sure you're not just putting it all into one thing. Because I think that's what people realize is when COVID hit, studios closed and all of a sudden, wow, we can't teach, or we can't do these membership programs as such. And they've had to pivot and adjust. So when building those programs out, or that business out, is what smaller alternatives can you do to give yourself some slack as well? Because as we said at the start of this, if this person only has, potentially 2 days, they're going to have to start to then think, well, can I offer 3 days? Can I offer 4 days? Because, attending to 20 people, if they've got questions and all those things, that's a lot of manpower, like work to do. And understanding that, can you dedicate to that or not, is another thing to understand. Or what if you have a month where no one decides to sign up, and all of a sudden your money stops. So having things coming in on the side, where there is some of those courses or guides or something, is going to help you be able to flex on that. Because I know this, 1 month is never the same with clientele and things like that.
I guess that before you start a business, you just need to actually prepare and ready for everything it's come as well. Like,
yeah,
nothing in the world is always good. It's the bad side of it. It's a lot. And if you're enjoying it in the bad thing,
yeah,
it's just the life. It's just business nature anyway. And you can always also adapt anything into the business if you have that mentality, energy.
Yeah.
I can add one thing that it just actually popped up in my mind as well. Like, people starting some subscription box, like healthcare box.
Yeah, that's true.
It could be like adding up to the package, and you can also like have a 3 different level of packaging subscription where people can pick which one that they like as well. And again, you just need to be like showing up in the world, and providing what they need, what the benefit, why they want to buy from you, why they want to engage with your business. And it's a lot of stuff. I'm still learning every day, and I guess that it's gonna be the rest of my life to actually learn to do how the business.
Yeah.
And it just it's never end.
It's not to be all doom and gloom, we're trying to be positive here, but it's very true, right? Like when you come into the business world, regardless of what industry you do, you have to come prepared, and you can't be prepared for everything. But I think being prepared by coming in open-minded and being willing to have things thrown at you, you've got expectations, but sometimes those expectations, trying to throw them out the door and just focus more on showing up. Are you being consistent, and are you having fun? Because if you're not having fun while being consistent, then that's going to be a big problem. Because regardless if you're earning money or not, then if you're not having fun, that's probably a pulse check to really tell you, okay, this probably isn't really for you. Because the idea is, when it comes to the business, is you need to be willing to push through when you are going to go through those lows, and of course ride the waves of highs. Now, not saying that you should just be motivated by money either, but and you also then need to weigh up, well, at what point do you think, okay, you need to cut the loss and then pivot as well? Because you can continue to do the same thing, but if you're not getting any different result, or you're not seeing any change, then you also need to take the pulse check on that and think, okay, maybe I need to pivot and adjust. So it really is a juggling game of, weighing up balance of what's right and wrong. And there's no easy way to say what's right and wrong until you go through that experience. I know, even just having this conversation, there's so many things here I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I should be applying this to something else that I should be doing, because when you talk about it, you realize, oh, this is actually really simple. And I'm like, why didn't I do that myself? Or because nothing to do with yoga, but just, practical steps, breaking it down, or can I pivot this way and try that opportunity? And that's why I'm so glad we've been able to have this conversation. And I mean, like, just to bring it back and quickly summarize on what we've got me going through, I think regardless of whatever journey you're going, in this case, yoga, you're going to start from zero. That zero might mean you're educated, you might have a certificate, you might be an expert, but if no one knows you, you're still starting at zero, right? Because you have to build that credibility, you have to bring that authority, and you have to build your own confidence. Because you can go study, I'm just talking hypothetical, you can go do any degree at university, come out with a piece of paper, but doesn't mean people know you, doesn't mean you're the big gun. You still have to go out and then actually do it. You actually have to execute and take action. And sometimes that the hardest part is actually realizing that and confronting yourself, meaning you have to be comfortable with yourself. And, oh, I don't even like doing this. On paper it was fun, but actually going out and executing, it's hard work. So I think regardless of whatever industry or whatever hobby or passion, is you're going to have to take those steps of trial and error, starting from zero, building it out. And in this case, obviously for yoga, but whether it is teaching, coaching, or mentoring, I think there's so many opportunities here, regardless of if we go out of lockdown quick or we go back into lockdown. That aside, I think people will start to realize, well, the ways of working, the ways of thinking has changed as well, because there's going to be people that aren't comfortable necessarily going out to the gyms and studios, and they've gotten comfortable learning from home. They've gotten comfortable exercising from home, and they're wanting people to give them a program that is going to keep them motivated, to keep them on their plans and on their journeys. So, I'm not here to say that, well, when everything opens back up, this isn't relevant. This is actually more relevant than ever, because what's going to separate you as a game changer to what everyone already knows, right? And I think that's probably the big takeaway, is like the game changer is you as the individual doing whatever you're creating, because no one else is ever going to do it like you. And I think if someone's interested in doing yoga, there's a lot here that we've spoken about, which I think you could go run with. And I'm not going to say that we guarantee anything, but I think there's a great conversation that we've had that will enable someone to hit the ground running pretty quick.
Yeah, and I've got every time I need to talk with about ideas, it's always pop up in my head in a different way as well. And if anyone listening would like to chat about us as well, like, always reach out. And I love just throwing out the ideas and see how it's going, how it's worked. You want to start it, just start and see how it works. It might not work, who knows? And I think this day everything is very tricky as well. A lot of going on, and just just need to get yourself out first step. Be known and start where you are, start where you at, start with what you have, and you will learn every day when whatever it's come along, everything will teach you anyway.
That's it. It's a bit of an oxymoron. It's actually really, really simple, but it's really, really hard because it is like the hard work is actually just doing it, and the time and the mental
Yeah,
challenges. But the steps is like, well, and like, I mean, the steps are a little cliche, but they actually do work. You know, that consistency. You're either going to get some really good results after doing that consistency, or you're not, and that's going to tell you that's working, that's not, right? But if you're not doing any work in that 90 days, of course you're not going to
exactly.
get results. So that's why I think people need to realize you need to be willing to invest that time before investing necessarily money, because you can have the best camera gear, you can have, you know, the best microphone. That doesn't necessarily mean all of a sudden you have 1,000 people listening to a podcast. You know, you still have to show up and you still have to put the content out. So it's really that perception, I think, that changes everything. And this has been great, May. I appreciate you spending the time having this conversation. And it really is just a conversation, banter, just, you know, chucking ideas out on a whiteboard of some sense and brainstorming. And
Yeah.
I know with your business, there's probably a few crossovers in terms of just the ways of thinking and how you can do things differently. I know I've taken a lot from this conversation, so it's been great. Anything else you want to add to it?
I think from website design perspective, I
Mm,
guess that if you have an idea, just publish one page website and see how
yeah,
it goes.
that's true.
Because you already, as long as you have the one page up, you have that feeling to actually, oh, it's happening. It doesn't matter if you working on it in a long term, but you just need to take the first step out.
Yeah,
Like, for example, I have this idea. What about write something up and publish on the website, first page only? My name is out on algorithm. My name is out on Google. And then people, once people find you, you probably, you know, if you don't want to work on it for a year or so, but your website is still running,
yeah,
it will have a chance, a lot of chance and opportunity to actually be known. And just a great way to start. And another thing that is about starting, that's another strategy as well that I might add if someone interested to do. Also, throw your ideas outside, starting with email list
yeah,
strategy. So collecting the email list first, and once you're ready to launch your business, and just do it with that database, with that chunk of database. I mean, like, you wouldn't be able to actually just publish the website, get
yeah,
an email. Maybe just giving away something, or like giving a freebie or something, just to get the audience
yeah.
interesting, to get excited with what you are going to offer in the probably 6 months or so. And maybe just another thing that you might actually considering if you would like to launching something on your business,
Yeah.
anything really. So there's always ways to do things differently. So yeah, I'm really, really enjoying our conversation today, Chris, and I'm really appreciate that you reaching me out again. And it's been really, yeah, good to chat. And I, as I said, love just throwing out ideas and chat about ideas and business stuff.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, the honor's all mine. It's great to have someone else to bounce these ideas. And for anyone that's listening, I encourage you guys to go see May, all her stuff, her Instagram, all the socials are in the description below, and you'll see it up on screen if you're watching this on the YouTube. But go see what she's all about. But at the same time, if anyone is curious, if they've got an idea, if there's something there that maybe, you know, whether it is yoga or something completely different, there is a link in the description below that you can jump down to and actually, you know, submit the idea. You can drop very detailed, you can put it very light, that's fine. And I can use it as a conversation like this that I've just had with May. And, you know, we can keep it anonymous, or you can say who you are. But the idea is just to give people some fresh perspective, to maybe encourage and inspire. At the end of the day, I'm not an expert, May's not an expert. Maybe in our own domains, you know, we're a bit more established, we have experience. But when it comes to yoga, no, sure, I do a bit of yoga stretching before I go running, but I'm no yogi. But the idea here is more just to bring that fresh perspective and help people understand that maybe, you know, the idea, the passion, the goal, the dream that's in front of you isn't as big of a mountain that it needs to be. And sometimes it's just a matter of breaking it down, hearing it from someone else, and to give you that little confidence boost to move forward. So I encourage you, go fill that out and let us know. Or you can hit us up on Instagram, of course, and let us know that way. But May, it's been brilliant to have you here. I appreciate you spending the time, and yeah, it's been a blast. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Chris.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Now, if you didn't know, we do have the podcast merch, and this is with a key focus of enamel pins. Now, if you haven't checked these out, make sure you do, because the intent of these are really just to be a small token and a reminder for you to charge on, to push on, and to further your lifestyle. Whether it is a gift for someone else to encourage them, or maybe to inspire them, or maybe it's a way to motivate yourself, or you can simply just make a purchase to simply support the podcast, which would be greatly appreciated. We do also have some sweaters and some long tees, so make sure you check it out. Link in the description and in the show notes. Really do appreciate it. Cheers.